Have you ever imagined a Boston Celtics team without Jaylen Brown in the playoffs? Well, that possibility was once more real than you might think. After missing crucial games due to a knee injury, the Celtics star returned to the court, but with restrictions. And now, one critical question must be asked. What does this mean for the team's pursuit of back-to-back championships? Brown shined against the Suns, but how long can he keep up this pace while pushing his physical limits? Today, we're going to break this situation down in detail, from the physical and mental challenges he's facing to the direct impact on the team. And let me tell you this up front, if you think this is just another common injury, you're mistaken. Jaylen Brown has dealt with injuries before, but this one carries a different weight. Throughout his career, knee issues were never a major obstacle until now. And when a player starts feeling pain in such a critical joint, especially right before the playoffs, alarm bells need to ring. In his return against the Phoenix Suns, he delivered an impressive performance. 24 points, 5 assists, and a monstrous dunk. But behind those numbers, there's a concerning detail. He admitted it himself. My body is still not 100%. If Brown isn't at full strength, what is his limit? And more importantly, is the Celtics organization willing to risk his health to secure a title? The issue is no longer just about Jaylen Brown, it's about the Boston Celtics as a whole. The franchise must decide, should they rest him for the playoffs or push him to his limits in the final stretch of the season? NBA history has shown us cases like Kawhi Leonard and Derrick Rose, who dealt with similar injuries. Some teams pushed their players, and the results were disastrous. Others managed the situation wisely and are still reaping the benefits. But here's the problem. The Celtics can't afford to lose Brown. He was the Eastern Conference Finals MVP and a key piece against the Dallas Mavericks in Boston's 2024 championship run. Without him, the team loses defense, explosiveness, and a crucial offensive weapon. If you were the coach, what would you do? Would you let Brown rest or keep him on the court to secure the best playoff position? An injury isn't just a physical challenge. For a player of Jaylen Brown's caliber, every missed game is a mental battle. He even spoke about it. I'm trying to keep my confidence and align my body with the game. What he doesn't say, but is clear, is the weight this carries. Brown signed the biggest contract in NBA history in 2023. He knows he has to deliver. He feels the pressure of a team that wants to be champions again. But how long can the mind push a body that isn't fully ready? Is he forcing himself too much out of fear of criticism? Let's be realistic. The NBA playoffs are a war. And for the Celtics, who are chasing a repeat title, there's no room for mistakes. If Brown isn't at his best, Tatum will have to carry even more of the load. Holiday and Porzingis will need to step up, but will that be enough? Last season, Boston won because they had a balanced team and a healthy Brown. But now, if he's limited, the entire rotation shifts. Teams like the Bucks, Nuggets, and Clippers are hungry for a championship and will exploit any Celtics weakness. If Brown plays below expectations, do the Celtics' chances drop dramatically? Or does the roster have enough depth to compensate? The harsh reality is this: Jaylen Brown isn't at 100%, and he might not be by the playoffs. The big question now is what Joe Mazzulla and the coaching staff will decide. Rest him and risk losing momentum, or push him and risk his long-term health? And you, Celtics fans, what do you think? Should Brown keep playing even if he's not 100%? Or is it better to save him for the crucial games? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning of the debate. In our next video, we'll discuss how Jason Tatum could take on an even bigger role if Brown isn't at his peak, so don't miss it. Did the Boston Celtics go overboard with three-pointers? The question is simple. Did the Celtics cross the line? In their season opener, the team tied the record for most three-pointers made in a single game, attempting 61 shots from deep. And the most intriguing part, they spent the final minutes of the game forcing more attempts just to break the record. Is this a sign of a new era or just a desperate strategy? Numbers don't lie. Over the past 5 years, the average number of three-point attempts per game was already high, around 35 per team. But this season, that number has risen to 37.5, and the Celtics are one of the main reasons for this increase. For longtime NBA fans, this shift is staggering. After all, a decade ago, teams were attempting just 22 threes per game. But does this mean that teams that shoot more threes win more often? Historically, yes. Between 2004 and 2019, the team that attempted the most threes won 52% of the time. But in recent years, that relationship has become less clear. Last season, teams that shot the most threes won only 48% of their games. Has the game changed? Or is the Celtics' strategy pushing this shift? Now, here's the twist. The man who helped create this revolution now wants to stop it. Daryl Morey, president of the Philadelphia 76ers, and one of the pioneers of Morey Ball, the philosophy that prioritizes three-pointers and layups, recently stated that the game might have gone too far. And he has a strong argument. The NBA's math is broken. With an average three-point shooting percentage of 36%, each attempt is worth about 1.07 points. For a two-point shot to be worth taking, it would need to be made at a 53.5% rate, a tough number to achieve outside the paint. The result? Players are being discouraged from taking mid-range shots, making the game less diverse and, according to some critics, less interesting. The solution? Some ideas have already been discussed, such as moving the three-point line further back, or even reducing the value of three-pointers to 2.5 points. But would the NBA really make a change like that? Knowing that the Celtics and other teams have already built their style of play around this philosophy? What if I told you the Boston Celtics played without Jason Tatum and didn't miss him? That's right, without their biggest star. The reigning champions not only won, but completely dominated a red-hot Phoenix Suns team from start to finish. This raises an uncomfortable question. Does this team really rely that much on Tatum? Or is the Celtics' collective strength the real secret behind this unstoppable squad? Before any controversy, take it easy. No one here is saying that Tatum isn't essential to the team. But against the Suns, we saw a different Celtics team, more collective, more aggressive, and with 6 players scoring over 16 points. Kristaps Porzingis stepped up and played like a true franchise player, dominating the paint and punishing from deep with an absurd 80% three-point shooting. Jaylen Brown, who had been dealing with a knee injury, looked refreshed, attacking aggressively and locking down on defense. And the most impressive part, the Celtics' defense suffocated one of the best offenses in the NBA. Kevin Durant tried to carry the Suns by himself, but Boston went on a 31-10 run in the second quarter, practically sealing the game right there. Did Tatum's absence force the team to play in a more collective and unpredictable way? If there's one thing we've learned in recent NBA history, it's that teams with multiple offensive threats are harder to defend. And without Tatum, the Celtics spread their offense better. Did Porzingis shine? Yes, but Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Al Horford also played key roles. All of them scored over 16 points and helped keep the offense dynamic. Now here's a crucial point. Does Boston play better when they don't rely too much on one player? Looking back at last year's playoffs, when Tatum had below-average performances, it was the collective effort that carried the team, with Holiday, White, and even Horford stepping up in crucial moments. Now, let's talk numbers. The Celtics have a 5-1 record in games without Tatum this season, and in those games, they average 120 points per game, an even higher number than when he's on the floor. Plus, when the offense is more evenly distributed, opposing defenses have to work harder, making Boston a more unpredictable team. But hold on, this doesn't mean Tatum is a problem. On the contrary, he's the guy who can close out games, create shots when the offense stalls, and take responsibility in crucial moments. What this game against the Suns proves is that the Celtics have options, and they need to use them better throughout the season. What if I told you Kevin Durant could finally wear a Boston Celtics jersey? Yes, the same KD who said no in 2016 and barely escaped in 2022. Now, according to reliable sources, the Boston Celtics could be one of the most likely destinations for next season. But does it make sense? Should the Celtics really break up their winning structure to bring in a 35-year-old superstar? Kevin Durant's history with the Boston Celtics has had many chapters. In 2016, Danny Ainge tried to convince him to sign as a free agent. It didn't work. In 2022, when he requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, rumors suggested that the Celtics were willing to offer a package, including Jaylen Brown. That didn't happen either. Now, with the Suns having a disappointing season, Durant's name is once again making the rounds in Boston's front office discussions. Journalist Nick Wright reported that two reliable sources confirmed Boston as a real landing spot for KD. But the big question is, after winning a championship and building such a solid team, should the Celtics even consider this move? Would bringing in Kevin Durant be worth it? Getting Durant wouldn't be cheap. The Celtics would have to give up valuable assets. Jaylen Brown would once again be the most obvious trade piece. Besides him, Phoenix would likely demand draft picks and additional players, such as Derek White or Al Horford. But think about this. The Celtics don't need Durant to be competitive. This team already dominates the NBA without him. Boston has the best defense in the league, a balanced offense, and incredible depth. On the other hand, Durant is still one of the most talented players in the world. Over his last 3 games, he's averaging 35.3 points per game. Would pairing him with Jason Tatum turn the Celtics into an unstoppable super team? The real dilemma, is it worth breaking up a championship team for a player who, despite his brilliance, is already 35 years old? What if the Celtics landed Durant without losing Jaylen Brown? Imagine a scenario where Kevin Durant joins the Boston Celtics without the team having to sacrifice Jaylen Brown, a trio of Tatum, Durant, and Porzingis, supported by Holiday and White. That team would be unstoppable. But here's the catch. Could Durant, with his injury history, stay healthy for an entire season and playoffs without missing key games? Then there's the chemistry factor. Today's Celtics are a well-oiled machine where everyone understands their role. KD, on the other hand, has always been the offensive focal point wherever he played. Would he accept sharing the spotlight with Tatum and Brown? And let's not forget, Durant has never won a championship without playing alongside another dominant superstar. Would he be the missing piece for a green dynasty or just another short-term experiment? Should the Celtics really go after Kevin Durant? Durant's potential arrival in Boston could be one of the biggest storylines of the upcoming offseason. But should the Celtics break up their current core to bring him in? On one hand, one of the greatest talents in NBA history could take Boston to an even higher level. On the other, tinkering with a championship team that's already at the top of the NBA could be an unnecessary risk. So, what would you do? If you were Brad Stevens, would you bet on KD or keep the team as it is? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's debate.